I'm the director of the Seafarers International Research Centre at Cardiff University. We're a small centre that does research on shipping and seafaring, and we were established in 1995.
How did you get involved in seafaring?
Well, I must say, first and foremost, I'm not a seafarer. I got involved as a result of my interest in research, and really it was the method of research that I was experienced in, which was observational methods, which I'd been using in schools, which made me get involved in seafaring sort of by accident, really. And what happened was that there was a project which required somebody to go and do observation on board ships, and they were a bit short of staff, and they asked me if I would go on and do some observational research because I had that experience in schools and in other settings, workplace settings. So I jumped at the opportunity, really, because I thought it would be a great challenge and very interesting, and ever since then I have continued to do work on ships and seafaring, so I guess I must have liked it.
And what are the other sort of aspects of shipping you've been involved with?
That's it. We've mostly focused on the cargo sector, and we do all sorts of things in and around the cargo sector. So we're interested in seafarers and their lives, but we're also interested in regulation of cargo ships, ship emissions and things like that, really. So there are a variety of ways in which we tend to focus on the cargo sector. But we have also done research in the cruise sector as far as we've been able to, and we've done one project for the Professional Yachtsmen's Association, which is actually about super yachts and the Maritime Labour Convention for the ILO. So we did do that piece of research as well.
So why do you think it's important for women to become involved in seafaring, and what do you think the key challenges facing them are?
Well, I think women are a fantastic resource for the industry, which currently remains largely untapped, and I think that's very short-sighted, really, of what is a very male-dominated industry, because there is often talk of a shortage of qualified officers in the shipping industry, and particularly very high-quality officers. And the few women who have been given opportunities in shipping have demonstrated that they can make excellent captains, chief engineers, and so on. So I think it's the industry missing out on a great resource when they overlook women seafarers. So that's why it's important for women to be involved. In terms of the challenges that they face when they are willing to be involved, I think it's really a question of sexual discrimination in terms of getting jobs and getting opportunities in the first place. Once they're with a company that accepts women seafarers, they usually do rather well. Companies which are willing to accept women seafarers at the moment generally don't discriminate, even as they move up the promotion ladder. But having said that, those seafarers do generally still face problems from some of their colleagues on board from time to time, and particularly in relation to sexual harassment, and particularly when they're younger, when they're more vulnerable in lower ranking positions. Obviously these problems diminish as you become higher in the hierarchy. It's a brave seafarer who tries to sexually harass a captain, and he wouldn't really be in a position to do so because she would have authority over him. So it's a problem that particularly affects junior ranking and young cadet seafarers.
Are there any key areas of seafaring that you think it would be ideal for women to pursue?
I don't think there are, really, to be honest. I think that women seafarers have shown that they're capable of occupying all roles on board ships. There's nothing about the job in particular that would mean that women couldn't be seafarers. We see women engineers on board ships, we see women navigators on board ships, women captains. So no, I don't think I would encourage women to go for any particular kinds of jobs. I would just encourage them to pursue those careers that they're most interested in, really.
Do you have any advice that you could give to women who are interested in pursuing a career at sea?
I think my main advice would be to suggest to them that they talk to other women seafarers before they actually go to enrol in a college or go on board a ship, first of all. I think it's very important that they try to share experience before going on board a ship so that they get an idea of how to deal with any difficult situations that might emerge. And it's also helpful if, as cadets, they can try, which is not very easy in the current climate, but try to see that they be placed on board ships either where there are women in senior roles or perhaps be placed on board ships with another cadet, or preferably another female cadet. So I think it's all about preparing themselves for some of the problems that might arise. Of course, you shouldn't assume that they automatically will arise. Sometimes women have very positive experiences on board. But I think if they can have that sort of preparation beforehand, think a bit about how they might deal with issues if they do arise, so that they're not completely unprepared. I think that would be my main advice, really.
Are there any ways in which we could actually encourage women to become more actively involved in seafaring?
Well, I think there are women willing to go to sea, and if you look at the training and education colleges, you do find women cadets who are interested in going to sea, and indeed may even have been on ships as children, with their fathers and family members and so on, so might have a very good idea of what seafaring is about. But sometimes there are barriers placed in their way as a result of companies not being prepared to give them access to ships in order to meet their sea time requirements. So I think one of the things we could do to encourage more women seafarers is to make sure that companies are challenged by perhaps colleges in some of their attitudes and approaches to taking women cadets. And I think another thing that we can do is to make sure that when women cadets are placed on ships, they're either placed in pairs with other cadets, other women cadets perhaps, or on board ships where there are other female seafarers present, and or with companies which have very clear policies on anti-bullying, anti-sexism and anti-sexual harassment.
Do you think it would be possible to build a network of women that are already working as seafarers to try and support and mentor other women who are interested in becoming seafarers?
Yes, I'm absolutely certain we can, and indeed in some parts of the world I'm aware of women seafarers doing just that. There are women seafarers in the Philippines who support each other at different colleges, maritime education training institutions across the Philippines. There are also organisations such as WISTA, which women seafarers can get involved in. So I think there are already some indications of those sorts of networks. Of course, one of the things that sometimes happens for women who do survive in a career at sea is that they get a bit fed up with being singled out as being different, and so they don't really want to be part of a different network, which is unfortunate, because I think that obviously every senior woman seafarer can be vitally important in terms of mentoring and bringing on other women cadets and more junior seafarers.